it's a difficult balance to strike. Some people think, yes, it's great that these people are paying tax, but also should they be paying more?
Now, the Sunday Times tax list is revealed online this morning. In fact, it's dropped in the last few minutes. It details the country's 100 biggest taxpayers, with tycoons from retailing, gambling and those involved in the car businesses all doing well. Unsurprisingly, the chair of the Conservative Party, Nadhim Zahawi, doesn't seem to have made it onto the list. Here to take us through it all is Robert Watts, who's the compiler of the list. Morning, Robert.
Morning, Chloe.
Okay, take us through it then. Take us through the headlines.
So we found this year 100 individuals and families contributing more than £10.7 million to the taxpayer to the public finances over the past year. We found 11 paying more than £100 million, and we've got an intriguing new number one. For in recent years, Denise Coates, the Bet365 founder, has topped the list. But this year we've got this extraordinary guy, Alex Gurka, who lots of listeners, lots of readers will never have come across before. He's a Russian mathematician genius, a hedge funder, financial trader who has just renounced his Russian citizenship. He's no lover of Vladimir Putin, but he's paid, wait for it, £487 million to the public finances. It is a gargantuan sum.
And also, I mean, I'm reading the piece now. I'm desperately trying to get through it all because it's literally just dropped and there's just so many fascinating things. I mean, he's funding a number of projects to improve maths teaching in the UK, including evening and weekend classes for secondary school pupils. He also tweeted in 2022, "I'm very happy to pay a ton of taxes." And he says he's up for wealth taxes.
Yeah.
This is unusual.
He's extraordinary for lots and lots of reasons. It's more than £60 million he's given to charity that we found, as well as all that tax as well, and has a choppy relationship with Vladimir Putin and his men. He said of Sergei Lavrov, Nuremberg is waiting for you, he tweeted to Lavrov. This isn't just a very successful mathematical genius, but he's quite brave, kind of a brave guy, you'd think, as well. He would have been one of Russia's greatest ever wealth creators, and yet he quit the country in 2006, took British citizenship, had this struggle to drop his Russian citizenship, which took years, finally came through just before Christmas. And he's creating a lot of jobs here, paying a lot of tax as well.
Tell us about other people on the list.
Well, Sting. I was quite intrigued by him. Often this list, they're the quiet achievers on this list, people who have no public profile whatsoever, who have been quietly running businesses for decades. And then you see JK Rowling pop up for all her royalties. But Sting, you'll remember, has just sold his back catalogue for, wait for it, 200 million quid. And we can see a lot of those payments now starting to trickle through into his companies. And when these people on the tax list, when they sign a big deal like that, or then ultimately the taxman takes his cut, and we can see that popping through his accounts now.
The betting companies are still doing all right, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and this will divide some readers, some listeners, is that, yes, these people do contribute lots of the public finances, not just in corporation tax, not just in the dividends they pay, but also in gambling duty and things like that. But also there is a cost to the public finances as well. So, it's a difficult balance to strike. Some people think, yes, it's great that these people are paying tax, but also should they be paying more?
People are often fascinated by how much football agents and sports agents generally do. Barry Hearn is on the list, basically making loads of money out of Anthony Joshua. I mean, this is astounding.
Yes, I mean, he's been around a long, long time. He's a classic, what we call him, Rich, is sort of a classic lifetimer, one of these people who just keeps going and going and going. No interest in retiring because they love what they do. And yes, this is a guy who revitalised snooker in the 80s, turned that into a big cash cow, and is still going strong, at a time when most of us would like to be retired. He's still pinging out of bed and earning very well.
Yeah, absolutely. A tax contribution estimated at £23.4 million. Tell us about the youngest taxpayer in the top 100.
Ben Francis. This is the guy behind Gymshark. He's 30 years old and pretty much a billionaire.
Sickening.
He is.
Brilliant. He's brilliant.
And do you know what's even more sickening, Chloe? He does seem like a very, very nice guy.
Oh, well, that's all right then. That's fine.
He gave us a lovely quote along the lines of, I got a free education off the British state. I've got free healthcare. Do you know they even paid my mum's salary? She was a nurse. And it's good to give back. There's some people who look at this list and think, oh, yeah, it's a great showcase of people contributing. That's great. But wonder at the same time, could these people be paying even more? Perhaps they could in some cases. There's some people who we found who've got, they're paying a lot of tax. They make this list, but they've also got assets in offshore jurisdictions as well. But I think most of the readers that we see when we read our comments, I think, good luck to these guys. They are doing. We need more of these people.
I mean, that is the criticism, isn't it? That if people are avoiding tax avoidance is not illegal. Evasion is illegal. Tax avoidance isn't. There are loopholes there, and wealthy people get good accountants who say you can do this. And if that's legal, it might be morally repugnant to some people, but it's not illegal.
It's not illegal. It depends which end of the telescope that you're looking down. Some people just want to sort of celebrate and talk about, come on, you paid £10 million worth of tax to get onto this list. That's a huge figure. But other people look at it and think, could they actually be paying just that little bit more?
Absolutely. JK Rowling is on there. She's had quite a quiet year for her terms, hasn't she?
That's right, yeah. She's featured a lot higher up these rankings in the past. But there have been, we're advised, no new big deals in the last year. But £15 million worth of tax just from those royalties, effectively from the Harry Potter series and the Robert Galbraith books, just continuing to roll through.
Weatherspoons on there, I'm quite interested by, because we've heard so many struggles, haven't we? Particularly post-COVID, and also, just people, cost of living, people can't afford to go out, eat, go to the pub, they might drink at home instead. But Weatherspoon's doing well.
We had a really good chat with Tim Martin about this very topic, because he's one of the entrepreneurs on this list who goes above and beyond what the company feels they should publish about tax. So they don't just publish their corporation tax and their employers' national insurance, that sort of stuff. They go down to the nth degree, even the sort of VAT, alcohol duty, everything. And Tim Martin is very punchy. He says more companies should be absolutely explicit about what tax they're paying, because people don't recognise, politicians don't recognise the big contribution that businesses pay to the public finances. His particular beef is that supermarkets don't pay as much tax per unit of alcohol sold as pubs do. And so that's why he's particularly zealous about highlighting the tax contribution of Weatherspoon.
We could talk about this for hours, but one more thing before I let you go. What are the sectors that are doing particularly well? If we break it down into retail or whatever, which sectors are paying the most?
Well, here's a really interesting thing. High street retail, bricks and mortar retail contributes a lot to the exchequer. Why? Well, partly because they book their profits here, largely speaking, and also they're big employers. Interestingly, online retail and these tech stars, these unicorns are always cool that we always read about and hear about and have a lot of high profile. Often they actually don't pay that much tax. Why? Because they're not particularly profitable at the moment. Often their profits can end up through Ireland, and we've all read about those structures. Don't employ many people, so they're not big, there's not a big national insurance employers' contributions and things like that. So there's a real challenge for the Chancellor and for future Chancellors in terms of making sure that this new generation of 21st century businesses, that they contribute as much to the economy, to the public finances as the old school bricks and mortar businesses.
Robert,